Law enforcement in general has pretty much pigeonholed itself into issuing Glock pistols for probably at least the past 2 decades, right? And there are actually some good reasons for that I'm sure a lot of us can come up with. As far as reliability, durability, they're pretty accurate. Long ways away. They're very easy to work on, and a lot of it also comes down to the almighty dollar. Government entities can get them kind of cheap, and we all know that cheap is generally what most agencies are going to go with, as long as it is functional and reliable. And then with that money they save, they can dump it into their pet projects, which is a topic for another day. But in the modern market, there are going to be a ton of options that are going to be very similar in reliability, durability, accuracy, ease of maintenance, all those things that we love out of striker-fired rigs. And it's probably not the best idea to just pigeonhole every officer into a Glock or any other name brand pistol that might just not work for them. And for that reason, over the coming months, we're going to talk about several other options that are currently out there in the market that may be worth looking at either as an individual officer purchase or if an agency is looking to change into a new pistol. Now, the first one we're going to start with today is going to be the Walther PDP Pro version. I've probably got about 6 of these pistols, and they really do have a ton to offer. Everything from triggers to ergonomics, a modularity when it comes to the grip. Of course, they're optics ready. They just seem to have a ton to offer, and they just seem to work. Something else that is going to work for you and has a lot to offer is going to be our battle bottles. So get over to ironinfidel.com, check those out. We got the blades from Dagger and Knot, and we've got those new tumblers for you, which is a different design, a little bit more cup holder friendly for all of you out there on patrol, in case you happen to be that guy that spills everything all over the car that the next shift has to use. They've got a leak-proof straw in there. It's going to help you guys out. But they've got the options like the battle bottle with that wraparound pouch, pocket on there, key holder, all that good stuff at ironinfidel.com. So what exactly is the Walther PDP, right? Is it just more plastic, fantastic, polymer and steel striker-fired rig? Or is there a lot more to it than that? And I would say there's a lot more to it than just the next plastic fantastic. But it is a 9mm striker-fired rig, and although it appears to be a rather chunky little fellow and have a little bit of a higher bore axis, when you actually compare this side by side to a Glock, say 17, the differences are extremely negligible. And for the bore axis people, I promise you, if you look at some of the footage we'll roll in here, you can run this thing just as flat as a non-modified Glock. I do it quite often, and honestly, I kind of like the way the PDP feels better than a Glock's recoil impulse, but everybody's different, everybody has different hands. So without getting too crazy into the details here, the Walther PDP line has all of the different sizes you could want as far as the full-size compact stuff. You've got the 17, 19 size, the 45 or 19X size, and they are modular, so you can put different slides on different grip sizes, which is pretty cool, and until recently you haven't been able to do that with the Glock. But there are some very definitive all-around improvements in my opinion with the PDP series, especially on the Pro model, because one of the best things it's going to come with is a magwell. I'm a huge fan of magwells. Generally they can only help you. You're also going to get some extended base pads on there. You will get a little bit better grip texture from the factory. Of course, you get those interchangeable back straps. You're also going to get probably one of the best striker-fired triggers in a duty pistol out there in the market today, at least I think so. The trigger is just night and day better than anything Glock could ever dream about putting out, even the Glock Performance trigger, at least in my opinion. As far as the ergonomics go on the PDP series, you're going to get a less aggressive grip angle, so if you're not a fan of arcing your wrist really hard forward, this is going to fit you a little bit better. As far as the controls goes, the magazine release, the slide stop slide release, which is ambidextrous, they're just a little bit more ergonomically correct for me, a little bit easier to activate without manipulating my hand around the pistol too much. So overall, I can appreciate that. Going up onto the slide, you're going to have some massive super terrain serrations on there. Of course, you get an optic system, and they have far better optic plates than the Glock MOS stuff, which a lot of people turn to the aftermarket for plates when it comes to the Glock stuff. You're going to get very nice night sights right out of the box with the Pro series. You're going to get a multi-slot pick rail up front, which is nice because some pistols only have one, like the Glock Gen 3, 4, or 5. So it gives you more options as far as lights and everything else that you might want to put under that pistol. Another big positive for me is the trigger guard is a little bit more generous. So if you've got big sausage fingers, you're wearing gloves out there, you're in a cold state, it's a little bit easier to get a gloved hand or a thicker finger in that trigger guard without being overly large. And I'm a big fan of that because I find Glock trigger guards to be just a little bit tight, especially when I'm wearing gloves. As far as the performance of the PDP series, I've got a bunch of these pistols, everything from the compact all the way to the full-size factory compensated models. And I have yet to experience a single issue with any of them functionally wise. I've had no issues with stoppages, and I have several thousand rounds through multiple of these different pistols. So that's a good thing as far as the reliability and the durability goes. When it comes to accuracy, it's going to be as accurate as you are. Most humans are never going to outshoot a modern striker fired pistol with a good solid barrel in it. You can shoot from 50, 75, or 100 yards with these things easily. It's all up to your skill level. Basically, the PDP is going to give you all the options in a modern duty pistol that you want, all of the accuracy that you're going to need, and likely all of the durability and reliability. These things have been out for quite some time now, although there is one issue that did come up that someone brought up, I want to say about a year ago, that has been remedied. So we're going to walk through that right now. Basically, there was an issue where somebody figured out if you took the slide partially out of battery on the original designed Walthers, that you could pull the trigger, and then when it went back into battery, your trigger would be dead. So as you can see, that's not the case anymore. If you pull this out of battery to the point where the barrel drops and you mash on the trigger, when it goes back into full battery, you're still gonna have that trigger press. I did test some of my oldest Walthers, and that is there in the old generation. So the newer ones, as of I think about 2 years ago, you don't have to worry about that. And then if your slide is only slightly back and not out of battery like that with the barrel dropping, the striker still will release. So just like a Glock or any other modern striker fired setup, you don't have to worry about that anymore, because that did cause a little bit of concern for a duty pistol based on the fact that if you have to draw this pistol in close quarters and drive that muzzle into somebody and then your trigger went dead, it went back into battery, you would have to like tap rack, manually run that slide, do whatever you need to do to get that thing back up and running. So since that's remedied, there's no real concern there. Now, this is just one of many pistols out there in the market. I will be bringing several more on, and if you're interested in seeing a specific one, let me know in the comments down below. One of the biggest ones that everyone has been interested in is going to be the Staccato HD. I have it on order. I bought it a few weeks ago. They're about 6 to 8 weeks out, so we'll see when that thing comes in. But if you have another one that you're interested in, comment down below. And if you're an individual officer or you're a red shirt testing for your department for a procurement program, I think the PDP Pro is definitely a great one to look at, from the ergonomics, the mag well, the sights, everything that it comes with, the way it functions, the trigger. It's just better than a lot of other things out there, at least in my opinion it is. So if you're looking at it for an agency purchase, they do have a law enforcement direct sales team. If you want to do an individual officer purchase, that option is available out there as well. And I definitely think it's either worth getting a tester in for your agency, or if you're an individual, go out there, give it a rental, and see if it's worth it for you. Make sure you guys head over to ironinfidel.com, check out the battle bottles, the new tumblers, the dagger and knot blades, of course, the fitness gear, and all of that swag that we got for you at ironinfidel.com.